The Sega Master System was released in 1986 in North America, and one of the most popular genres on the system was the shoot 'em up. Today I'm showcasing 10 shoot 'em ups on the console and sharing some personal thoughts on them. If this is your first time on the channel, or if you just haven't yet, make sure you hit that sub button to watch plenty of Master System content from countdowns, retrospectives, and my personal collection of Master System games. Pick up those power-ups, lock in, and keep your finger on the trigger because we're looking at 10 Master System shoot 'em ups. Ported from the arcade, Sega's Fantasy Zone is a colorful shooter starring Opa Opa, who some consider being Sega's first mascot. In Fantasy Zone, you'll fly Opa Opa through 8 different levels, each one filled with vibrant colors and cute enemies. Now to begin, Opa Opa is very weak in the first level, only equipped with the twin shots, which is your main weapon, firing 2 side-by-side bullets and a single bomb that you can drop on enemies. The more enemies you defeat, the more money you can collect. Killing enemies will result in them dropping small and large coins for you to pick up. Each level will have a floating shop sign that you can access to purchase upgrades. There are 2 forms of weapons, one that you shoot and one that you drop. You'll have your chance at buying temporary upgrades like lasers or wide beams, but those only last for about 10 seconds before reverting back to your twin shot. Instead of just flying to the right of the screen on a scrolling level, you'll have full control of Opa Opa with the ability to turn around and scroll both left and right. You'll need to do that to find the bases in each stage, and each of these bases is themed from the level. You'll have to destroy all the bases on the level to reach the boss, and let me tell you, the boss fights are really well done. The final boss though is super tough, as it should be. If you want more Fantasy Zone, I did an entire retrospective on it with the TC show, and that link is below in the description of this video. Oh, Transbot. If you want a short game, here's your title. There are essentially only 2 levels in Transbot before the game loops again. In the first part of the game, you are on a surface of a planet as the background is a rocky terrain and futuristic cities. After you clear that section, you'll be transported down into a vent, which is assumably the enemy fortress. Here, you will make your way down the hallway of a base and destroy the enemy that looks just like an AT-ST from Star Wars. After defeating this enemy, Transbot will loop and start you at the beginning. All of this can take as little as 5 minutes. If you are a high score chaser, then perhaps you'll love this game. I'm not, so it really didn't appeal to me, and even for a high score chaser, there are only 2 levels, and that's probably a disappointment. Picking up a power-up will activate your Mega Powers. You will select a weapon in a quick selection area at the top of the screen. Now every gamer will probably want to land on weapon C, as it's by far the best weapon. Your Transbot will transform into a robot and send mega waves at the enemy that are one-hit kills and cover a pretty decent amount of the screen. The enemies, however, are predictable once you learn their patterns, so finding a safe zone is the most important aspect in learning where they travel to avoid crashing into them. Now here's one of the very first video games I ever played. Astro Warrior is a vertical shooter where the screen will scroll up as the enemies come down on you. There are 3 stages in Astro Warrior, and once you beat that cycle, they will repeat with slightly tougher enemies who also fire at you. One of the best touches of Astro Warrior is the background. Distant stars will glow and glisten, which I thought was a really cool feature. You'll face many different kinds of enemies on your quest to defeat the mothership. Most of them are easy to avoid, but a few can be tough. Enemies will come in many different forms and colors. Each level has a boss that you must defeat in order to progress. They're all pretty easy, but my favorite is the second boss, as he is the only enemy in the game to shoot lasers instead of balls. A fun little touch to the game is after you defeat the boss, your ship will jump into hyperspace as the stars zoom past. You'll find yourself in an asteroid field before advancing to the next stage. During your mission, you'll collect power-ups in the forms of ships. It's very important to collect these as they add speed, firepower, and 2 assistant ships that tag along, providing massive support. Astro Warrior is a simple shoot 'em up, but a very good one. In fact, I did an entire retrospective on it, and you can find the link of that below this video. Get ready to take part in the greatest helicopter battle of the century with Thunderblade. You're the gunship gladiator. You fly the Thunderblade copter. Some say you're unstoppable. This mission will put you to the test. The enemy has invaded your country. That makes you mad. So you're gonna stop them all by yourself. In cities, over deserts and oceans, in caves and through refineries. You're cutting loose with your cannons and dropping air-to-surface missiles from your skids. They've got the tanks, air power, and an incredible air super fortress. But you have guts, a taste for glory, and the meanest fighting copter in the sky. Thunderblade has the player pilot a helicopter which can fire either its machine gun or missile launcher to destroy various enemy vehicles. Now, I personally haven't really played this one, but I heard the Master System port isn't the best. The Earth is threatened by mutant plant life and their brainwashed human followers. Only one force can stop the evil vegetables from taking root. Power Strike is the most versatile jet fighter in the world. Blast the enemy in the air and on the ground, and save the planet from the creeping green menace. There are 6 rounds to complete, and in each round, numbers from 1 to 8 can be found on the ground, either enclosed by a ring or in the air carried by a ship. Getting these numbers will upgrade your firepower. Get more of the same number for a maximum upgrade. But unfortunately, whatever the type of firepower you get, you will have a limited supply of ammo, so you need to stock up on the same type of firepower if you get too low. At the end of each round, there is a end of round boss, which involves shooting parts of its base in order to destroy it. There's also an intermediate boss that can be found in the last 3 rounds. The best shoot 'em up on the Master System? Well, a lot would say so. Your ship, the R9, crawls at a snail's pace before picking up power. Speed is going to be key in this space shooter, and you'll want to pick up the pace quickly if you have any hopes of surviving. Picking up any power-up that comes your way is crucial before facing the first boss. If you don't defeat a boss quick enough, he'll just close in on you. RType is another example of providing detailed backgrounds which makes it stand out against all the other space shooters. There are plenty of flashing lights and different textures as you make your way in and out of bases and space. Now, the music is also top-notch in RType. It comes across as intense but not overpowering, a great balance that will also help you get into the zone. It's a very tough game though that you'll have to learn before proceeding toward the end. Enemies come at all speeds, from the top, bottom, left, and right as you scroll through the level. To help with all of this is a movable mounted cannon on your ship that you can detach and rearrange. It's really awesome to see this, and it's quite innovative. Positioning your cannon to best suit your need will help in defeating enemies during a tough spot. But what makes RType so good is the variety of gameplay. No level is the same, and the third level was just a fight against a giant battleship in which you destroyed guns and armor off it as you zoomed on by. From all the weapons, the position of your cannon, and unique bosses, RType keeps it really fresh. Speaking of bosses, RType's bosses are unique in every sense of the word. Each one is a different fight, from stationary foes to the ones like the 4th level boss who takes pieces of his body and sends them at you while zooming around on the screen. These are all tough fights, but I really appreciated all the different variables that RType offers with the gameplay. RType does a phenomenal job of making a 30-minute game stretch into a game that requires many runs to figure out the strategy of the bosses. You won't just blast your way through enemies. RType gives you the power to defeat the bosses, but it's up to you to figure out how to use that power. Bomber Raid is actually the last licensed Master System game released in Japan, but it did send the system off in good fashion. First, it looks great. Bomber Raid has a few small cutscenes and they are all brightly colored. The cockpit is especially fun to look at between levels, with many buttons littered on the dashboard, each a different color. Now, like many other shooters, you'll be able to power up your craft in various ways. There's speed boosts and power boosts to pick up. You get these by shooting capsules that break open during the levels. There are tons of them throughout each level, and it's not uncommon to pick up 5 or 6 of them throughout each level. There's also another power that you can get throughout the game, and that's having 2 smaller planes mimic your movements, including shooting and steering. You can change the formation of these small planes by getting a power-up that's numbered between 1 and 4. You need to be careful though steering yourself around, because unlike other shooters, the smaller planes that mimic you can also be shot down. Their power will not increase though if you get a weapon boost. 5 stages are playable in Bomber Raid, and you'll have to play them in order. Each stage lasts between 2 or 3 minutes and ends with a boss that is your main target for the mission. Let's get weird. Cloudmaster is one of the most random and bizarre shooters with its giant bosses and flying ramen bowls. Cloudmaster is a simple horizontal shooter set in ancient China. You control Michael Chen, who rides on his cloud as the screen slowly moves to the right. Michael moves very slowly at first, but you can pick up upgrades to speed up the movement of the cloud, giving you an advantage as the action intensifies. For your offensive attack, Michael will shoot powerballs out of his hand with an unlimited reserve. Each level will present a shop that allows you to buy upgrades for Michael's secondary weapon. The enemies you face are just so random and weird. Sega had fun with this one. They shoved so many random things into this game. You'll face off against flying fish with Aztec heads, lions with royal faces, pig heads, tiger heads, panda heads, and my favorite, the flying ramen noodle bowl. Each level is 1 or 2 minutes long and ends with a big boss fight. And I mean it when I say a big boss, because they cover a quarter of the screen. The first one is just a giant rooster. With these boss fights though, it's easy to see where their weak points are as they flash, giving you a target to hit, but you need to defeat them relatively quickly, because if you don't kill them in about 20 seconds, they will float to the left side of the screen, almost guaranteeing that you will die. Stages and bosses do grow in difficulty. Speed is the biggest threat to your death as enemies zoom on by you the later you get into the game. This side-scrolling shooter puts players in control of a jet fighter flying through the sky, taking on an evil military organization called the NAC, who wants to take over the world. And this world is set in the very futuristic year of 1999. One of the cool things about this game though is that you can select your difficulty between easy, normal, and hard. Now this is a quick game as there are only 5 missions to play through. The graphics are very basic and nothing special. The sprites to the planes are simplistic, but I suppose the best thing about the looks of this game would be the background. I think it was level 2 where the sun sets throughout the stage and the level grows darker the further you get. I liked that and thought it was kind of a cool touch. Your fighter jet starts off very slow, but you can quickly power up with some help. I did like that before each mission, you will receive a message telling you what objects to shoot at to gain power-ups. You can have 6 different weapons, but my favorite was the chaser missile. Every boss will have an obvious weak point that flashes red as they shoot bullets at you. Destroy all the weak points and the boss goes down. Aerial Assault is a very basic game with boring enemies and confusing power-ups, and it doesn't win any beauty contests, but if you like easier shoot-'em-ups, you might enjoy Aerial Assault. This vertical shooter suffers from poor graphics, 30-second levels, repetitive enemies, and a wealth of other poor decisions. Thankfully, it was never released in North America, but my poor friends in the PAL regions unfortunately saw this game on their shelves. Scrambled Spirits lets you know what you are in for right away with the menu screen. The background is a brown gravy color that looks freshly squeezed from the anus of a patient from the popular show My 600 Pound Life. If you are brave enough to proceed, you'll be greeted with hideous still graphics of a city ablaze that is barely distinguishable. I had to squint just to see what they were trying to depict, and only when I saw the outline of the buildings did I realize what I was looking at. Before each mission, a black screen will appear with some white text that outlines the very simple and unimaginative goal. Once your plane is in the air, and believe me, the old bird looks like she's seen better days, so if this is the best that humans could come up with against the aliens, well, we're all f***ed. But thankfully, you can barely make out the action on the screen. The game can't handle much of the action, so enemies flicker constantly, making it both hard to know what you just destroyed and what's actually going on. Some backgrounds make enemy bullets impossible to see, like the desert level that had a sandy bottom that paired with orange bullets from enemies to make a camouflage attack for the opposition. All of the bosses were simple, ugly, and easy to defeat. You can find a safe spot on the screen and park your plane and fire at the boss without being hit. Scrambled Spirits features a whopping 2 or 3 notes of music, so I really hope you like those notes before you go deaf. This game is super easy, so the developer probably didn't feel like giving you power-ups. You always have the same bullets, the same speed, and there's no power-ups. But you will get 2 mimic planes that are quickly blown away when you hit something. So those were 10 shoot-'em-ups on the Sega Master System. Which of them have you played? Which of them do you want to play now? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to watch plenty of more Sega Master System content. Thanks for watching.